All protocols observed. Good evening. Hope you're enjoying yourself so far. We're really excited to have you here this evening. People from Save the Children to guide you if you need any help. Please do remember to keep your phones on silent. Insights into the Save the Children journey. It's an organization that believes that every child communities, and so today it's all about sharing insights, engaging, and hopefully at the end of the dinner, we'll be able to walk, listen in, lean in, learn, and thereafter, hopefully, they'll be able to engage you a little later on. There will be experience in senior management and leadership in the development and private sector with a proven track record in strategic and authoritarian and South-to-South collaboration, for example, China's global role. Her work and life experience cuts across China, Africa, and
all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. All protocol observed. The program have delivered results for children around the world and also here in Kenya. Give them a healthy start in life.
Mo, as many people know her, is very passionate about children and young people. She uses her social media country through sharing her own personal experiences and learnings. Through her passion, she was appointed to the Africa Advisory Board of Save the Children.
My name is Gwen Hines. My role is to oversee the global programming by Save the Children in the development sphere, but also humanitarian. And as you know, from places like Kenya, the two are increasingly interlinked. The rates of poverty and malnutrition we see in places like Turkana are the same that we see in war zones, are the same that we see in the aftermath of an emergency. And yet the families there face it every single year. So we're trying very much to make sure that we get to the bottom of these problems, that we help the families, the community to solve them in a sustainable way. We don't fly in, fly out again. We're looking for sustainable solutions. And that's very much what we're trying to do here. Our whole model, as you've heard from others, is built on partnership. And we're so excited to see so many of you here from different backgrounds to think about how we can collectively do more to help the children here in Kenya. It's the first time we've held such an event in Kenya. It's part of a wider initiative we have across Africa. And you've heard colleagues say they're part of our Africa Advisory Board. And we know there's so much commitment across Africa. There's so much interest. There's a lot of things going on. So the Advisory Board is helping us to Save the Children to identify the best ways that we can come together to do more, to help the children, but also very much to think about partnerships. We're not just interested in money. We are slightly interested in your money eventually, but we're very much interested in shared partnerships. How do we bring your skills, your expertise, the reach that you bring, combine it with the technical expertise and understanding that teams and Jane and others can offer here on the ground? I'd particularly like to thank our hosts here, Andrawala Kana and the State Bank of Mauritius. This is a fantastic event tonight, and we're very, very grateful to you for hosting us tonight and making this possible. And we're equally grateful for Ms. Barmia and Evelyn for the work that you're doing as part of the Africa Advisory Board and the work that you're doing, that taking these issues to people. And as you say, there's nothing like seeing it for yourself, but not everybody can do that. So sharing your insights, sharing those experiences is really important. As you've heard from others, it's 100 years this year since Save the Children was set up. It's quite a responsibility, but it's one that we're very, very proud of. And as we've spent the year really reflecting on everything that's happened over the years, the good, the not so good, the things we got wrong, the things where ideas and ways of doing things have changed over time, we've really tried to put children's rights back at the centre of what we do, to really focus on the most deprived and marginalised children within countries and around the world, because that's where we can make the greatest difference. These were the commitments that global leaders made in 2015 when we agreed to Agenda 2030. We said we will put the furthest behind first. And for us, that means really digging deep to make sure that no child is left behind. That means it's tough. That means we're picking off the really tough issues. I've been in development far too long already, but when you look back over the progress that was made over the last 20 years, we've made a lot of progress. We've halved child mortality. That's fantastic. But the bit that's left is the really tough bit to do. It's that last mile delivery. It's the problems which are much, much harder to solve. But that's what we're here for, and that's what we hope you will join us with too. As I say, we're very much looking at partnerships. We believe that by working with you as corporations, foundations, individuals, we can achieve a bigger impact than if we do these things alone. We work across the world in 120 different countries. We have members from China, from Indonesia, from the UK, the US, all sorts of countries around the world, and we come together to try and identify the best things to do. I'm delighted that many of our friends and supporters are here tonight. GSK, Pfizer, Community Jameel, Art and Capital. You've travelled from outside the country to be here, and that's really important to us. And I know many of you are already working here in Kenya and looking at what more can be done. I had the privilege myself this time last year of going to look at the work that we're doing with GlaxoSmithKline in Bungoma County. And it is, as Mo says, it's really heartbreaking to see what the women, what the children, what the fathers face in the villages. We look particularly at the work that we do with premature babies. Babies who are born too soon, often their mothers are adolescents, and that's partly why they're born too soon. Or they aren't doing child spacing. So it becomes this vicious cycle where very young girls are married, they have children too soon, their babies are born prematurely, the babies become sick. We can turn that into a virtuous circle through very, very simple interventions like kangaroo mother care, these very simple things which you've heard about. As Jane says, the frustration is many of these things we actually know how to solve. They're very, very simple, and the communities are really at the core of this.
It gives me great pleasure to join you this evening for this important engagement in supporting the end of malnutrition and premature births in Kenya. I congratulate Save the Children for celebrating your centenary this year. This is a great milestone for your organization and the work you've been doing around the world. Since you began your work in Kenya in the 1950s, the footprint of your mission to bring lasting change to children's lives and to protect and amplify the voices of children, especially those from marginalized communities and deprived areas, is evident. Your noble vision to reach every last child with education, health, protection, and nutrition, as well as livelihood interventions to combat poverty and self-reliance complements Kenya's national plan for children. The discussions we've heard this evening remind us that we must place health at the center of our socio-economic development. Nutrition is recognized as a key determinant of health and well-being. Therefore, we must place the nutrition agenda high on our list of priorities. Sadly, the prevalence of chronic malnutrition has become a concern around the world because global hunger is on the rise. Good nutrition is the fuel that drives growth and development. It helps prevent chronic diseases among infants, young children, adults, and the elderly. The government of Kenya is strongly committed to reducing hunger and malnutrition by 2030 in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 3. This is why I'm pleased to be here, because the survival of mothers and children has been my concern since I started my Beyond Zero initiative. I have prioritized nutrition because malnutrition is a big contributor to child mortality. Mothers who suffer from malnutrition are also at high risk of premature birth. So I thank Save the Children for recognizing that ending malnutrition needs partnerships of many actors, from business to industry to philanthropists and other health stakeholders. It's everyone's concern to care to ensure that all children and families are protected from hunger and malnutrition. This event brings together philanthropists and the business community, who are both key players in driving economic development and prosperity, to engage and consider investing in the nutrition agenda and contribute to building a healthy workforce, which is the engine of development. Your investments and success models are determined by impact and long-term solutions that benefit our country. And investing in a healthy generation for our future workforce is a good return on investment. I'm confident that working together, we can eliminate hunger and malnutrition with the right policies that bring marginalized individuals, groups, and communities from the peripheries to the core of development. We can achieve our national and global target to leave no one behind. I'm confident that this goal is possible in our lifetime.